crowd control, you know. But I think the bomb's really good. And for me, probably the most fun I'll get when setting up things, even if it's a little lazy. To X tier. Now, X tier are my favorite weapons. Or just really good weapons. And I say really good weapons because there's a devil in this tier list. Yeah, that's right, the devil's real. Did you know that? His name is the slingshot. The slingshot is the most guilty pleasure weapon I've ever used. The slingshot is just... I don't think I need to tell you the meta right now. The slingshot is incredibly versatile and incredibly good. I think the slingshot's one of the only weapons where its original version is better than the others, and that's not an understatement. The slingshot is also a jack-of-all-trades generalist option, except unlike the bazooka, you can get it at the start of the game, and it does everything. It does it all. The damage is really good, the imbuements are really good, the mobility, being able to sustain your movement for that long, I'd say it's even better than the sword. The only issue is getting the movement to start with the slingshot. There's a little stuff and you can't do it because it's really only used to sustain momentum in the air. But outside that, the slingshot's just really good. Being able to kill most enemies at long range, at any range actually, is something that I think the community has understated. The slingshot is kind of busted, and I would say it's overpowered, but that's just how the slingshot's designed. Because it can do all these things and is so versatile, it makes sense why it's the must-pick for anyone trying to get good or get good runs, you know. It's a must-pick. It covers everything and does everything, and you know, I'll be honest, I'll say it, you don't really need to try that hard with the slingshot. You don't need to try hard at all. You just need to press E and then hit it with the sword or whatever else you're using. The coins are so versatile, and I think the sword scaling the damage just makes it even better. It's obvious why it's the meta. The next weapon, same like the slingshot, is the sword. The sword is probably the best weapon. Just for them loadout. I don't know how to describe it, but the sword is just one of those things. It's an ultimate classic, you know. The sword can pretty much do most things. It's very generalist. It's a utility, but what makes it come out of being a tool is the parry. Parries, they're just really good. Being able to parry your projectiles and boost your damage that high, and also the free lifesteal that parries give you, it's really good. If you ever need health, parry. If you ever need to do a lot of damage, parry. If you need to get a boss off you, parry. This thing kind of has it all. The only bad thing about the sword is how slow it is. Especially in a captain fight, when you need to parry those projectiles, it can feel a little bullshit when the captain sneaks in a bullet when you're in the middle of trying to get the end out of it. But outside that, the sword is just really generous and really good. Okay, top 3 weapons. The final 3. In third place is the BB gun. I know, the worst weapon in the game has a tree? One of the weapons in the tree is my favorite. Well, yeah, the BB gun's one of my favorite weapons in the game. It does everything the paintball gun does, but 10 times better. It interacts with the world in more interesting ways. I mean, for the most part, you're just shooting things, but at least it shoots better, so it makes it feel less clunky to use. The ricochet mechanic is easily one of the coolest mechanics ever in a video game. I'll say it, I'll die on that hill. Seriously, being able to just rack up damage with this thing is super satisfying. Constantly trying to hit headshots is really cool. It feels nice building up that meter with just headshots. And it just feels cool to use. I don't know, it's kind of like another guilty pleasure item. I know this being X tier, if we're talking about viability, the most closed-minded weapon in the game, who cares? Okay, this is my 3rd favorite weapon. It's for a good reason. It's because it's good. Really good. And it's fun. It's fun to use. It's like this is a shocker if you've seen my stats, but but the katana. This thing just does what I like about the sword, but does it better. Parries are seriously busted with this thing. This thing is designed to parry. And it does everything the sword does, but better. It's faster. It's just, while it doesn't imbue anything, it's a super useful utility. Even on its own, without any other weapons, because you have the parry lifesteal, and you just have the ability to parry. It's super useful, and the speed of the katana is so, well, it's fast, so you're gonna be using it a whole lot. It's super useful to just have a katana. Once you get good at the game, you don't really need a katana early on. You can just sort of stick with the sword. The sword becomes less of a weapon, and more of a utility, I think, to a lot of people who are getting better at the game. But still, don't sleep on the katana pick. Katana is one of the best weapons in the game because it just does what the sword does, which is already good. It does it way better. So it's just one of the best weapons in the game. Probably the second most generous weapon. And finally, my favorite weapon in the entire game. Probably the worst opinion in this entire video. My number one weapon ever, the Super Ball. It's not really a surprise if you see my stats, but I love the Super Ball. Despite it being a one-trick pony, despite it only doing one thing and one thing good, and not even doing it that good, you know, despite being a mediocre multi-kill choice, it's buggy, it's clunky, it's janky, and it's just not fun to use. I love the Super Ball, okay? I'm making a guide for the Super Ball as my next big video, and I don't know when that's going to be, if it does, but let it be known that the Super Ball is one of the most underrated weapons in the game, just based off on viability-wise. The Super Ball is easily one of the most meh weapons in the game. And the people who call it a one-trick pony or mediocre are, I guess, correct, right? Because if from the outside view, and using it for the first time, or even just going back to it, or being forced to use it if you want to use ninja stars, it's incredibly annoying, right? You throw the ball once, and then if you don't have anything to rebound the ball back, you wait a second and a half to throw it again, and it's just really annoying. And while you can get multi-kills with it, why not just blow enemies up? Or use any other weapon? But I think when you really center in on the rebound mechanic, and really hone into the jank and the weird, odd ways to use the Super Ball, it becomes such a unique weapon to use. Rebounding is so fun. I don't know how to make it more good. I love rebounding, but the mechanic is just really cool, you know? I even discovered some of my own tech, and I don't know if the community's discovered it already, but stuff like yo-yo pogos, or like juggling rebounds by throwing multiple balls and trying to keep them rebounding. It's really fun. The rebounds are cool. I think the Super Ball is kind of like an underdog, and it's so cool. Seriously, use the Super Ball with the BB gun and come back to me, right? It's just, well, it doesn't do a lot of damage, and it kind of falls off on Rocket Arena just because the two bosses in it are sort of built against. Oh. Just because the two bosses are sort of against the Super Ball, King's a big target that's kind of hard to hit, and Draco Bloxer, your rebounds won't even be able to reach Draco Bloxer. But probably the coolest thing about this weapon is the movement. The movement of the Super Ball is not slept on, and I'm glad, okay? The movement with the Super Ball is some of the most fun in the game, okay? A burst movement option that is instant is so fun. Even though you won't be able to continue your momentum, being able to start it that quickly leads to these moments where you just kind of fly around the map and stay, and then fly around the map again, and it's kind of like ping-ponging to groups of enemies, because you'll burst movement to one side, fight a group of enemies, come out to fight, and then fly across the map to another group of enemies, and fly. And I think another thing that elevates this Super Ball for me is dunking. Dunking is just so fun with the Super Ball. I mean, I know it's more effective with the cannonball, and if you're looking for crowd control, use the damn bombs that explode, you know, with the self-damage, and the cannonball destroys your super jump. The Super Ball with the Slate Skin Potion is so cool, right? Because if you get a group of enemies, you just jump really high. With any way to get really high, like, well, I don't know, throwing the super ball below you at the peak of your jump, and then dunking, which causes you to go higher, and plus, since you technically touched the ground, you can land again, which means you can just pogo again, and just continue gaining height. And on top of that, if you want to ping pong to another group of enemies, you dash jump right as you land on the ground, and you'll dash jump and still be in slate skin, meaning you can dunk again. How is this not cool? I'm the only person using this tech. It's cool. Use the Super Bowl more. Yeah, that's my tier list. I hope I offended all of you, because this is probably the worst tier list I have ever seen. This is what I like. This is what I like to use. Okay, X and A rank, these are the weapons I like. B rank is okay, I guess I use them sometimes. And C rank and D rank is when I'm really feeling down. I'll go out of my way to choose these weapons unless I'm setting up something. Like, for instance, the paintball gun's one of the worst weapons in the game, but it's probably the best synergy with the Super Bowl, because being able to rebound at long range is really fun. So yeah, that's the list. I hope you guys will make other lists, because I do want to hear people's opinion on weapons. I think it's interesting. This is a very easy way to just sort of express yourself and also gauge how the community feels about certain things. But for now, this is the list. This is definitive as of right now. My favorite weapon. You can go to this list if you are curious what I like. I don't know how much this list will change after the update, but now this is where it's at. So yeah. Bye. Bye.